Hello and welcome, my beautiful Scorpio minds. I hope you're doing amazing, and if not, I hope this video is gonna give you a little push, a little bit of positivity. And if you're not feeling the best, here's a little tip: just smile. Just stand in front of the mirror or wherever and smile, because that's gonna give you a little energy kick. Because just by smiling, you are releasing those happy hormones, and it's gonna kick in, because our body or our brain doesn't know if we're like actually happy or if we're kind of like faking it. And yeah, we're just releasing those hormones and it's gonna make us feel happy. So just smile for a couple of minutes and you're gonna immediately feel the benefits. And if just smiling by yourself is nothing for you, just watch something that's gonna make you laugh. So yeah, that's like the little extra tip. But yeah, now let's dive into the second tip, what this video is actually about. And I am using this quite often if I'm kind of scared or anxious to do something, and I call it the best and worst technique. So if you find yourself in a situation where you have to do something, or you really want to do something, but it's kind of like you're holding yourself back because you're a little bit scared, because you don't know what the outcome is gonna be, of like how people are gonna react, how something is gonna turn out. You're just like overthinking it a little bit. An example would be making a phone call. I know it sounds super trivial, but for a lot of people, getting on their phone, just dialing the numbers, making that phone call is like really, really scary. And it's been like that for me as well. I really hated making phone calls. Also, just to get like an appointment with the doctor. I was so scared and so anxious about that, and I don't even know. It's just like the whole overthinking thing of like getting on the phone, talking to strangers that you don't even know what they look like, of like putting yourself out there, of asking something. So that's really scary, because we are kind of not used to putting ourselves out there to ask for help. Maybe you think that's like showing weakness or something, but don't think that way. It's all in your head, and I've got a little mind game that you can play with yourself when you find yourself in a situation like that, that's kind of like scary, where you're anxious, or like you kind of want to do it but something inside is holding you back. So what I love to do is to imagine what's the best possible outcome and what's the worst possible outcome. So for the phone call, the best possible outcome is the phone call is just gonna go as planned. You get what you wanted, you get the information, and yeah, you have your doctor's appointment, and that's it. And maybe you also had a really nice conversation, or just like wishing each other a happy day, you know? Nothing crazy there, and everything worked out fine. And how does that make you feel? It makes you feel good, right? You accomplished something, you got over that little barrier of like picking up the phone, dialing, talking to a stranger, and yeah, that's it. It makes you feel good, and you can move on. And what's the worst possible outcome? It could be that the person on the other side is rude to you. It could be that the words don't really come out of your mouth. But again, that's what you can't control yourself. And if the person on the other side is rude to you, you don't have to let that get to you, because they had a bad day, because they're dealing with some issues. But also, why would like a doctor's office be rude to the customers? Like, it doesn't make sense. Do you see that? Because they want to get you in. They want to sell you something if you are calling a customer service or something. And also, if you want to talk to a person, like just going up to that person, what's the best possible outcome? You talk to each other, you have a nice chat, and maybe you get the number, maybe you meet again. So that's like really awesome, and you feel good. What's the worst possible outcome? That they like don't talk to you? That they walk away? Is it really that bad? It's not. Or maybe you think they're gonna laugh at you. But again, that's their insecurity. Or that's they not wanting to have that situation. And also, that's okay. But you know what happens? Most of the time, the worst possible outcome, the thing that you create in your mind, is not what's gonna happen. Because you think it's gonna be super dark, and you think it's gonna happen, and they're gonna laugh at you, and they're gonna scream at you, they're gonna be super rude. But do you really think, like, that's just not a scenario that's gonna happen most of the time? Yeah, maybe it's like 1 in 100 that people are gonna do that, but probably not. Because we are all social creatures, and we all kind of know how to get along and how to deal with people. So if that happens, something worse or really bad or whatever has happened in that life of the other person that you kind of approached, but it doesn't has anything to do with yourself, with the situation of like approaching that person. So yeah, just imagining what's the best and what's the worst possible outcome, and then focusing more on the best outcome. And what tends to happen is that it's somewhere in the middle. So it's either like, it's not really like super crazy good and you fall in love like right that second, or that person's gonna scream at you and like laugh at you, whatever, run away. Usually it's just in the middle. You have a nice conversation, or you're on the phone and you just get your appointment, and that's it. So if you already have that thing of like best possible and the worst possible outcome, you can kind of focus on making that situation better and not being so afraid of the worst possible outcome, because usually it's like way bigger in our heads, and then when we actually think about the situation and analyze it and kind of like think about what's actually the worst possible outcome, and most of the time the worst possible outcome is not even that terrifying, it's not even that bad, and you can just be like, whatever, let's do it, let's try it, let's, like, even if that person you're approaching is not into it, it's cool. Because you stepped out of your comfort zone and you did something that you never did before maybe, or that you're kind of scared to do. And then you learn and you see that it's actually not that bad. And most of the times, the whole situation is so much better than the worst possible outcome that you imagined. And then you learn that approaching people, making phone calls, whatever it is you're scared of, is actually not that scary. Because you rewire your beliefs. Because you think something bad's gonna happen, and then you're actually gonna do it, because you know you're gonna find the situation happening somewhere in the middle. And then you're gonna see, or you're gonna learn, that that situation is actually not scary at all. And a lot of times people just want to help you. And asking for help is not bad. It's actually really good. And we need it. Because when we want to create everything by ourselves, we want to do everything by ourselves, we have limits in ourselves. And sometimes we need different perspectives and different inputs in order to create our best self. Because that's just how we are. Like, our brain cannot grasp everything. And sometimes we're so caught up in our own thoughts and in our own self and in this whole spiral that's going on, that we don't see the situations or our thoughts in like a constructive way, because we're so into ourselves that we just don't see that little spark that's coming that we could hold on to, that's kind of like changing the whole situation, the whole way we see the situation unrolling. And then if we have a friend, a person that's standing outside, he or she can like pinpoint and say like, have you seen it from that side? Maybe look at that way. Or also that person can kind of like guide you and push you and be like, hey, I made the same experiences, or I am guiding you, I am helping you to step over those boundaries that you have, or over those things that are holding you back. Because making a phone call is not scary. Trust me. I know it can feel that way. It can feel as if you're gonna die when you pick up that phone. But trust me, you're not. It's just how you see that situation and getting used to it and trying it over and over again until you realize that there's no actual threat coming from it. And if you realize, or if you tell yourself what the best and the worst possible outcome could be, as I said before, the worst possible outcome is most of the time not that bad as you think in your head. When you actually spell it out and you really think about it, like why should like a customer service be really rude to you? Why? I mean, they want to sell you something. They want to help you. They're there for you. They get paid to help the customers. And I know there are definitely rude people out there. But again, the only thing that you can do, that you can control, is yourself. And if you don't let that rudeness get to you, and you just respond the way you want to be, happy and energetic and just like loving life, you know, instead of answering in a rude way as well, try answering in a really happy way of like, yeah, thank you so much for your help or whatever. Just be really, really nice. And I'm sure the energy of the other person is gonna shift as well. Because maybe before you, that customer service person was actually happy, but then they had like an angry client, and then that energy shifted on the customer service person. And now the customer service person is taking that energy and bringing it to you. So they're not rude because they want to be rude to you. They're rude because they got that energy, because something happened. But then if you don't take on that energy, if you kind of block it out and you just know what kind of energy you want to bathe in, and you spread that out by being nice, by being happy, by smiling on the phone. I know you can't see it, but you can definitely hear it. Then you're gonna see, or you're gonna hear, that the energy is gonna shift in interactions as well. Alright, that was a short little clip of my best and worst technique. Let me know if you already tried that and if it helped you, and maybe also what kind of things you are scared of that you would love to just like step over and get to it and get it done. I would love to hear that for sure. And yeah, if you need more explanation of that one, just let me know. But I love this technique because then you step outside of your head and you actually think about the situation in like an objective way, without the feelings that you have. You just analyze the situation as it is. Just picking up the phone, dialing the number, and getting on that phone call. And it's nothing bad. Nothing life-threatening is gonna happen. So you're gonna be fine, and you can do that, and you're strong. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next week with a different topic on mindset here on my channel. Alright, see you guys.